All right, Game of Thrones series finale. We had very low expectations, and it ended even worse than we could have ever imagined. What an abomination!
Oh my goodness.
Well, that says it all.
Yeah.
What a load of bollocks. What a steaming pile of monkey bollocks that was.
All hail the King Bran the Broken.
I'm so disappointed. I don't even know where to begin complaining.
I will at least put it this way. The main plot points of this entire season, if they took like maybe another 3 seasons to develop them and show all the character and actually show some dialogue. I mean, all the most important discussions happen off screen. I mean, that was like one of the most it was like one of the best moments of the earlier seasons is like seeing all this political intrigue and this dialogue and the scheming and conversations and all that stuff. And then it's all off screen. Like, let us see the negotiations of what happened with Jon. Like, come on, let's see the plotting and the planning.
Old Game of Thrones, a good, juicy conversation between two people used to be the highlight of an episode. There hasn't been a great conversation for years. These are the same guys who wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine. Enough said.
You know, and at the end of the episode, I mistakenly made the comment that we didn't see any random, unexpected about turns in character, which was at least a credit to them. But then thinking about it, we saw about 50,000 inexplicable character turns where the Dothraki and Unsullied all of a sudden got over the fact that their beloved queen was dead and suddenly decided to get in line with everybody else and go live out the lands on somewhere in the Reach that's obedient to Bran the Broken.
I think they're actually sailing across to Noth.
Where's that?
That's where
Essos. Oh, so they thought bollocks to that.
Yeah, they're sailing back to
Essos.
Essos.
All right. Well, I mean, I feel like getting on the boat and going somewhere far away after watching that, so I understand.
So I don't know if I can recall a moment in film or television where they meant it to be so powerful and inspiring and swell the music, but completely missed the landing. Then when Tyrion nominated Bran the Broken, and everyone said,
it's
one
in the
by
name.
one.
It's in the name.
Bran the Broken. Really?
And then Sansa throws a little shade. He can't even sire children. Oh, thanks, Sansa. Awkward.
Yeah. But again, even in that episode, I'll go and look for Drogo. So, this could be interesting. We're going to go see what he's done with the Daenerys. Is he just like still carrying around a corpse somewhere? No, we don't get to see that. He's wheeled out of sight, and once again, he's completely, utterly useless. A waste of a good wheelchair.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like, I mean,
but according to Bran, he's like, Gary, I knew you would have that reaction.
He said he's a bad TV sidekick. That's what he is. He's a bad TV sidekick. He doesn't say anything of value or specific. Just everything's nondescript.
He was a part of that council meeting all of 3 seconds. What did he do? We're missing a Master of Whispers. Oh, we'll show them to you. Where's the dragon? I don't know. Maybe I'll find out. Bye. Really? That's it?
Thanks, Bran the Broken.
Yeah, broken in the head.
So from the moment Jon killed Dany to when they had that council deciding the new king, who knows how much time had passed? But that's a major political maneuver right there, deciding a new king. Yeah. Old Game of Thrones, that would have been a season or 2, just figuring out the complexities of that decision-making. Instead, it comes with one Tyrion spiel about, well, we should go with the man who has the most stories.
Yeah.
But like, Tyrion had a lot of time to think about it.
The best stories you will unite us.
Like, that's the requirement here? Are you kidding me? And Grey Worm's okay with this?
And how did anything change? A bunch of upper-class lords born of entitlement are now going to decide who's going to rule everybody. Yeah. How is that any better than just having the king's son or daughter do it?
Yeah. Well, it's also like, okay, so what you touched on. Oh, so the Unsullied, I mean, even before that, they're like, release Jon. We want to see the prisoners. Okay, so you have this council of lords and ladies who apparently had an army outside of King's Landing. And the Unsullied had King's Landing. So why in the hell would the Unsullied submit to the king that they choose when they're obviously opposing each other?
It doesn't make any sense. It literally makes no sense.
It's like, hi, yeah, you choose a king and then we'll follow you? No.
These were guys who were saved by Daenerys, who were completely, like, unrelentingly obedient to Daenerys. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
The idea that they would all of a sudden like in ride these bunch of old fat white men, and they're going to say to Grey Worm, "Hey, we're the lords of the land, so step aside, and we're going to decide who your king is." He would have speared him.
Yeah.
He would have speared him just for
Grey-
even suggesting it.
Grey Worm showed up to that meeting like with the fight in mind, right?
Yeah.
He was ready to just kill everyone. Like, okay, you guys decide. We're fine. We'll just go away. Wait, what?
But you know what? Looking back, the whole point of that meeting doesn't even make sense because obviously the Unsullied and Dothraki still held King's Landing, and all these other people were outside, and this was some kind of parlay. But it didn't seem like a parlay because they were able to demand to see the prisoners, and he like obeyed to that, and it was just him by
They would have
himself.
just killed John on the spot as soon as they came in and found him, and no Daenerys and a bit of blood on the floor. They would have just killed him on the spot.
Exactly.
I mean, it's been at least months, right?
And then they would have got on their boats and they would have pissed off home.
Yeah.
And that would have been the end of the Dothraki. We weren't seeing
It
any more of
should've-
them.
I mean, who knows how long it's been? I mean, these winters in this universe are supposed to last for years, and it was
True.
already looked like
Yeah,
it was
that's a
autumn
bloody
again.
point. It was summer again. Tyrion had a tan and he was indoors. What the hell happened to the long winter?
And if it were to make any sense, what a show normally would do is explain how everyone got to this point, but not anymore.
Yeah, you would have been seeing the reactions in Winterfell when they heard the news. You would have seen the journey and the discussions and the plans and the plotting, and then they would have got there and you would have seen it follow through with things and see how, and you would have had the twists and the, when the plans start falling through and you have to like improvise and all this stuff's going on. And
All right, let's talk about the main character, the one who everyone really cares about, Jon Snow. I don't get it. So like
you're my queen.
he
I don't want it. You're my queen. You're always my queen. I don't want the throne.
All right, let's just get over the fact that he did that and he's dead. And then, like, what should we do with Jon Snow? And then Grey Worm wants to kill him. And they suggest, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make Bran the Broken the king over the Seven Kingdoms, but the North's going to be completely independent and free of that. And that's where we're going to send Jon, and that's going to be his punishment. It goes over to the North, and he's a free man.
Yeah.
Because by definition, they're independent. And Grey Worm, I guess Grey Worm's not very bright.
Yeah.
Did they take his brains out when he cut his balls off? Oh yes, that is good. We'll accept that. Yes, that is a suitable punishment for murdering our queen, who we committed our lives to.
Yeah.
And then it didn't make sense. Then he goes to the wall. He has a look around. It's full of wildlings for some reason.
And who are those?
And then they
Night Watch
piss off to
people?
the north, where it's freezing cold, where they've been spending the last 7 seasons trying to escape. That's why they were attacking the wall, because they wanted to get away because it was cold and crap.
Yeah, Mance Rayder was amassing the army so that they could head south.
Because it sucked up there. You saw it. There's nothing redeeming about it. Nothing. It's
Yeah.
just Arctic tundra.
And what are these Night's Watch people? I mean, pretty much they all
Where
died.
did they come from?
They all died, right?
2 of them rocked up to King's Landing to take Jon Snow.
I mean, John was the night commander
So,
of them.
so when they went to
so-
so after they breached the wall and everyone retreated to Winterfell, those 2 guys were, we'll stay behind, we'll watch the wall. And where did they come from?
what are they even watching the wall for now?
They breached the wall.
All right, so I think one of the main missteps of the season was the writers obviously have a huge cast of characters, and they had to think, which one should we elevate to a more major role? And their answer was Grey Worm. When Grey Worm has more speaking lines, we all lose.
Yeah.
Also, we've got to pick who's going to be the new king of Westeros. What will the audience really love? Which character do people want to see in this role?
Who's earned it? Who's really earned it? Who's put the sweat and blood into earning this?
Bran the Broken becoming the king of Westeros is equivalent to Falcon becoming the new Captain America at the end of Endgame. It's like a character that no one cares about having this great new role. Why him? He has no fans. We all hate him.
Open question. How would this have been any different if Bran had just his wheelchair slid off the edge of a cliff and he died in the end of season 7? How would anything been any different?
You didn't see that coming, Bran.
No, how did any of that? How did it be any
Bran was
different?
not useful in the least.
Nothing. He was bait at
I
best.
don't want any more.
Why was he flying around as a bird
Except for
during the
this
war?
wheelchair. This wheelchair is a nice one. I like it a lot. It was built 300 years ago.
They move him to the Red Keep, the place with the most stairs in the 7 Kingdoms.
Bran the Broken's legacy will be making Westeros handicap accessible across the board. It will benefit generations to come.
Have you noticed he's the only guy who's got a wheelchair in 7 Kingdoms?
He's the only guy. Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I despair. I've got nothing.
You know what? If Bran was actually useful throughout these and used his powers and we actually saw something, I wouldn't mind this ending, right?
Yeah.
But he's been a useless piece of crap.
Speaking of using powers, no Arya face changing.
Oh my goodness, that's the worst. Arya
I mean,
has turned into this badass assassin. She just offs all the phrase and like that epic move at the beginning of last season, and then nothing.
if you're gonna botch the story, at least throw some fan service in there. People love puppies. What happened to Ghost?
They did let him pet Ghost at the end.
Yeah, but yeah, Ghost shouldn't have
Yeah.
given him that.
And do you know what? I got an idea. I got a
Oh.
theory. I'm going to put this out there. They added that in since the episode aired last week.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Have you
Completely
noticed
agree.
in that scene when he does? There's nothing else in the background. No
Yeah.
other actors. It's just John and the wolf.
I totally agree. They're like,
They called John up in England and he said, just kneel down in front of a green wall and just pet something, and we'll do the rest.
Yeah.
They added that in.
someone at HBO was like, oh, Twitter seems like they like Ghost. We should throw him in.
Yeah, it's there was like he didn't. That moment wasn't earned, right? It's like we haven't seen Ghost, we haven't heard of Ghost, and then it's just like it's there. It doesn't make. It's like as much as we wanted to see the Ghost stuff with the lack of it up till that point, it now that they finally threw it in, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, nothing's been earned.
I mean, he like shunned Ghost. What does he do when he's leaving? He looks over there and nods, and then just leaves. Sends take Ghost up north. I mean, really? Oh, my
All
goodness.
that's left is for Weiss and Benioff to write the new Star Wars movie for that to completely fail. And Star Wars is on shaky ground as it is.
Oh my
And for them to be shamed out of Hollywood forever and ever for tripping at the finish line and a finish line that they
No, they just need to
self-imposed.
get preemptively fired from the Star Wars thing. Just don't even let them do it.
I would like to think they're having second thoughts like, oh, wait, we just realized
No, they
that we just
better. I mean,
backed the wrong guy.
They know that they're on shaky grounds and
Yeah.
they can't like fudge again.
How do they rebuild King's Landing so quick?
Who knows?
I mean, it might have been years.
It was looking
Who
pretty
knows?
good. It was looking
Who
pretty good.
knows?
yeah.
And why build it? Why rebuild the Red Keep? Because King's Landing is there's nothing left.
I'll say the big winner of this season has been George R.R. Martin, who is lambasted and hated even for not finishing the books maybe ever. But now by just staying on the sideline and letting these two guys ruin his story, he's now back in everyone's good graces. We all love George again. Everyone's like, oh, well, George wouldn't have messed this up.
yeah,
Everyone is going
So-
to buy that. Everyone, people who didn't read the books but watch the shows are going to buy the book to get the real ending, because that wasn't
Yeah.
the real ending.
No,
Yes.
that was worse than fan fiction. Fan fiction would have been better than that. Crap.
Every fan theory I ever read was better than what we saw.
exactly
Everything without exception.
I
Those
mean,
two. Can we just focus on those two guys for a moment? We're criticizing the show, but can we get personal here?
Yes.
What a pair of pricks! What? How can they do that? Literally, every dirty fedora-wearing, neck-bearding, fat, sweaty dork who's put a fan theory out there did a better job of writing a story than those two did in 2 years with the millions of dollars from HBO.
yeah,
What a pair of assholes!
yeah.
That's the best they could do. No, they shouldn't get a free pass for this. They shouldn't get
No.
a free pass. No, they shouldn't be allowed to keep writing and be excused for this.
It's horrible. No excuse.
I don't know what should be done, but
They
So-
should be shunned.
they should be shunned.
They
Everyone
should be
should
shunned and
boycott
not-
everything
They
those
should
guys
be
touch.
blacklisted.
I mean, to be fair, everything they've touched is X-Men Origin Wolverines, one of the 10 worst movies ever made, destroying Game of Thrones when George Martin left, and now a crappy Star Wars movie coming. I think they're done.
I
This
think
will
it's
be
just
the
fun.
last
Can
we heard
can
of it.
Don't
start
even let them get to
hashtag
the Star
boycott
Wars.
D&D.
Let's boycott the Star Wars. I
Yeah.
can see that happening already. Preemptively.
It started.
Yeah.
This started. What's the hashtag? Hashtag.
I don't know.
What's their names?
Dan and Dave.
Dan and Dave
Are they writing Star Wars together, or is it just one of them?
together. They're a package deal.
Do they really write stuff to? That's a bit weird.
I mean,
Are they related?
who knows what's going on with them?
Why do they have to write everything together?
I don't know.
They're not that great at it.
Maybe now we know why the story's not
Complete-
good. Maybe they're distracting each other.
complete lack of dialogue. I mean, it's just there's nothing like the main plot points were decent, but the getting there was totally botched. I mean, they screwed it up. They threw out all sorts of details. They kept forgetting. Oh, how did Dany lose her dragon? Oh, she kind of forgot about the Iron Throne. I mean, the Iron Fleet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, oh, you got Tormund. Like, what? The little bit of dialogue they give him. Oh, Jon Snow rided an effing dragon. Who rides an effing dragon? Well, Tormund, you did. Just last season. You climbed out a dragon's back yourself. and escape from the north. I mean, come on, you forget that already?
There's a couple of the major plot holes. I mean, the whole season was just riddled of plot holes.
Well, it's like, okay, so here we go, Tyrion. It's like, tell to Jamie, right? Go and get Cersei and come back and get on the boat. If the winds are good, you'll sail away. What kind of boat's there? A freaking rowboat.
For a
How's
one-handed man.
Jamie gonna row a rowboat with one hand?
Well, I mean, whilst we're talking about plot holes, how about Tyrion asking Cersei in front of Euron, "Hey, how's that baby doing?" Oh, the one she just told Euron about that morning, the one that she just conceived.
Yeah.
Euron didn't bat an eyelid. Even
Yeah.
when he met up with Jamie, he still thinks he's the father of that baby.
I'm going to be remembered as the person who killed Jamie. You already killed a dragon, man.
How about they went through an entire episode without anybody saying to the guys from the north, "Oh, hey, how did that battle with the undead turn out? Are we safe?" No one even asked about it.
Yeah.
Even the shots of Cersei when she's like, and I get it, she was a bit distracted by a city being invaded. She never said, "Hey, did anyone find out? Is the Night King dead yet?" No one cared.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Cersei, she spent the last 2 seasons drinking wine up in a tower, looking out windows. She's not doing any Cersei stuff, and she goes out just crying to herself. This isn't Cersei. Cersei has contingency plans. She's a schemer. She's the smartest of the Lannisters, and she just ends up crying and then looking for her boyfriend, who's her brother.
Yeah, who she had just sent Bronn to kill.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And then Bronn showing up all of a sudden.
Bronn shows up a lot in a lot of different places. That's his thing now.
It's just like it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense.
And they didn't even give us a good Bronn line. They gave us like B-level comedy on like a NBC sitcom that no one watches.
Yeah.
So presumably after Tyrion's made the hand, Bronn's rocked up saying, "Oh, you owe me a castle." And in this new world where the wheel's been broken, Tyrion was able to sell to the High Council, "Hey, so this assassin threatened to kill me, so I promised to give him the whole kingdom. Are you guys cool with that?" Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's also make him the maker of coin as well. We'll give him the treasury as well.
This guy.
Let's do that. He sounds like a good candidate.
His accounting background, yes.
Yeah. He's the Westeros CPA. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just they should have given us like another 2 seasons and let us see the intrigue.
I mean, that just adds insult to injury because they had carte blanche to take as much time as they needed, as many seasons and episodes, and as much money as they needed to finish the story properly. And they said, no, we have 13 episodes to finish the story. And it was the 13 most rushed episodes, skipping over everything, no character development, forgetting all history, and fast tracking to different points in time with skipping all the dialogue and how they got there to trip out the finish line that they self-imposed.
Not to mention the fact fast travel.
Yeah.
But back in the day, the fact that you had like 3,000 miles between like Winterfell and King's Landing mattered.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of how big Slaver's Bay is. How long would it take to walk from one side to the other? Like maybe 3 years. That's how long it took Danny and Showtime to get from one side to the other. It was all in real time before.
Yeah. Now it's just like, fast
Like, traveling
travel,
was
skip.
part, like there was the journey as well. There's no more journey.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened to the Sand Snake's mother?
They kind of forgot that
They left
she
her
was
locked
there.
up in the dungeon.
Oh, she's the one that Cersei took hostage, right?
Yeah.
They kind of forgot D&D. That's like the line
Oh,
for
yeah,
them. We kind of forgot about them. Kind of forgot that Gendry was born in the Crown Lands and was actually a waters instead of a rivers.
Oh, and what about does anyone remember Dario?
Yeah.
And that whole entire continent, Essos?
Yeah.
Did Dan even write? Hey, how's my kingdom going?
Yeah, kind of forgot.
Kind of forgot.
They just kind of forgot about everything.
What about the Iron Bank?
Kind of forgot about
They
them.
kind of gave the impression the Iron Bank was like really like the invisible hand controlling things. They gave Cersei all that money to buy the gold company. They never said, "Oh, like crap, our investments in trouble." No one showed up. No one mentions them.
Kind of forgot about the Iron Bank.
Yeah, kind of forgot about the Iron Bank. I guess the Iron Bank's not so iron.
Even Cersei was disappointed in this season. She didn't get to see her elephants. Everyone's disappointed.
Yeah, and then like, what is the
She
whole thing?
foresaw our disappointment. We should have, when she started complaining about the lack of elephants, that was a foreshadow of us.
They love their foreshadowing.
It
yes.
was, because they love foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's much easier than reflecting on the previous
Yeah,
7 seasons
well,
and
like-
making it relevant to what they're writing.
So here's another thing. Okay, what is up with the flipping dragon? All right, so Jon kills Danny, and the dragon somehow knows. I mean, obviously they're connected. The dragon comes and then blows fire not at Jon, but at the throne. because the dragon knows what to do that instead. And okay, so what happens if the dragon blows its fire on the wall? It explodes. What happens if it blows its fire on the throne?
It melts.
It doesn't even move.
Hashtag science.
It doesn't even move. It's just melts.
Well, dolphins or dragons are the dolphins of the air. They're very smart.
I didn't even try. Yeah.
And so what are we
No.
led to believe? The dragon picked up Daenerys' dead body and flew back to Essos?
Well, they said it was somewhere over Essos and that.
Right, but what?
What's the dragon doing? Why to pick up the body? There's nothing to give us. I don't know. Maybe
All right, so supposedly there's multiple spin-offs in the works. Is Picking Up from the end of this season going to be another spin-off show
I hope not.
with new writers?
It's just going to be
Let's make that
the
clear.
dragon flying around with her rotten corpse, flies buzzing off her.
Arya's Christopher Columbus.
It's going to be like the
adventure.
dragon version of Weekend at Bernie's. You know,
Are you gonna sail
going to
and
be
find
dragging his dead corpse around.
Arya's like something's different.
Arya's gonna find the
There's a bad
Americans or
joke in there
something?
somewhere, isn't there?
There is
He's
something,
not as responsive.
Oh well.
Oh.
Uh,
If those writers have anything to do with the spin-offs, I hope they never happen.
I hope they get blacklisted.
I think
in
they're
Hollywood as-
done.
They should go down in history as the people who messed up the best series
But that's
ever.
the worst thing about it. We've all still tuned in and watched it. They still made a crap ton of money of it. So
They already made that money.
They're still going to go down as very successful writers because they brought in all that money.
No.
The only way they get any payback is if we do boycott anything they ever touch ever again.
1 million signatures.
We
Sent
should
a
start like an
message.
online blood oath where everyone swears a blood oath to never ever
Yes.
watch anything that those guys go near ever again.
yes.
Who's got a knife? Let's do this.
I can see their Star Wars movie tanking. That would be glorious. And
I
also
don't want them to
foreshadow.
even do the movies. I want Star Wars movies to be good. I
And
love
also-
Star Wars.
Also, foreshadowing the way that Tyrion backed the wrong queen, HBO backed the wrong writers, but they didn't realize till it was too late.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
Tyrion, right?
Just like
Until he backed Dany and she destroyed all those innocent people, just like the
It was
HBO.
a disaster before them. They
back
couldn't
the-
stop it. And it was
yeah.
too late.
Yeah, it's that foreshadowing, man.
It is.
that foreshadowing. It's it's legit.
All right, well, Game of Thrones, you were good for a few years. We have the books coming out for the real ending. Thanks for wasting our time, D&D.
I got a feeling those books are. I got a feeling those books are done and written, and he was waiting for this crap storm to be finished because he knew how bad it was going to suck. He didn't want to release the books anywhere near this disastrous.
Yeah,
So
but-
maybe George Martin, he always said Tyrion's his favorite character, but maybe George Martin's Bran. I knew this would happen. I just had to release him at the right time.
Just like I said earlier, if there was more dialogue, more intrigue, and more backstory, and
more creativity,
more-
more,
it's just like-
thought, more effort.
well, it's just like I wouldn't mind the same major plot points happening, so long as we were understood the motivation behind it. But we didn't get any of that.
We can. No, I think we're all
It's just
agreement.
it just happened. It was just none of the buildup that you would get in a book.
We're in agreement.
Okay.
It was shit.
All right after this, we're going to talk about something nice, John Wick 3. And before we go, we got one comment from a text message who's watching this, Ben. And I know it's not the first time you've heard this.
Okay.
How do you get Ed Sheeran on your YouTube channel? Can you ask him for an autograph?
No.
Can you do the song that he sang to Arya around that campfire?
Oh, I don't know what that song
Are you
was.
tired of the Ed Sheeran comments, or are
I'm
you
about to
liking
go
it?
Get my haircut just so I stop hearing it. I don't look like the dude.
Ben's in a bad
But
mood.
Ben,
That's
you're
not calling
touched
Ed
by
Sheeran
My
anymore.
cheeks aren't pudgy.
Now it's Ed Sheeran. But Ben, you're touched by fire. You can't cut that hair.
Touched by fire.
Nah, just bollocks to it. That was freaking terrible.
Yeah.
Just cut it off. Cut it off.
Game of Thrones, you're over, and so are we.